I will be speaking today about my outline for my number 3 speech. The topic that I chose was raising a puppy to be a service dog. I chose this topic because of my own personal experience. I'll do a narrative speech outlining my experience of raising a puppy to become a service dog. My thesis statement will be, raising a puppy to be a service dog consists of 3 key players: those of the volunteer puppy team, and the ability of the dog to excel in advanced training. I will get my audience's attention by having placed a pencil in front of each of them, and I'll ask them to drop the pencil on the floor. Then I'll ask them to imagine that they're in a wheelchair and that they need to pick the pencil up without the aid of another human being. I'll tell them not to worry because I have the answer to that problem, and the answer is a service dog. I'll explain that I was lucky enough to have been involved in raising a puppy to become a service dog. This will establish my credibility in the subject matter. I'll then preview the 3 key players involved in the process of training service dogs: those of the volunteer puppy team, and the advanced training of the puppy. I will state the 3 main points simply today, but in my number 3 speech, I will go into more detail about each point. My first main point will be that all volunteers must go through a process before being accepted as a volunteer puppy raiser. My second main point will be that the volunteer and puppy must work together as a team. And my third main point, the puppy must excel on their own in advanced training. Each main point can easily be brought back to my thesis statement. I will use PowerPoint to transition from one point to the next, and I will also use words for the transitions. When I transition from point 1 to point 2, I will use the words, "Once the puppy arrives, the training and partnership begin." When I transition from main point 2 to my third main point, I will use the words, "The next step in the process is advanced training for the puppy." I will use a quote, pictures, a statistic, and personal stories to support my ideas. I will summarize my main points by saying that puppies are not born service dogs. They need to be raised and trained in loving homes. The volunteer puppy team, and advanced training of the puppy are all vital to this process. All 3 are essential to providing arms and legs to a person with disabilities. I'll leave a lasting impression on my audience in my conclusion by speaking to their sensitive side. I will tell them that as a teenager, every puppy love experience that I ever had ended in heartache, and that this experience was no different. But I will encourage them to find out for themselves and possibly become a volunteer puppy raiser. But I will give them one big piece of advice. I will tell them to guard their heart. I will use a short PowerPoint presentation with a couple of websites for future reference and pictures from my experience. I feel confident speaking about this subject. I'm a compassionate person who believes in the power of animals, and I believe in the Canine Companions for Independence organization and what they provide to people with disabilities.